I'm Dustin Salariaga, an immigration lawyer with Scott Legal PC in New York City. In this video, we're continuing our series on the EB-5 immigrant investor visa and looking at whether a single EB-5 business, also called a new commercial enterprise or an NCE, can support more than one EB-5 investor applicant. For example, if two EB-5 investors start a restaurant, each invests a required $1,050,000, and their investment leads to the creation of the required number of jobs for U.S. workers, could they both qualify for an EB-5 green card? As we'll see in this video, the answer to this question depends on when the EB-5 application was submitted. This is because a new law was passed in 2022 that fundamentally changed a number of EB-5 requirements, including how many applicants can apply through a single business. In this video, we'll take a look at this change in more detail. But before we dive in, please take a moment to subscribe. We'll keep you updated on our firm's most current and trustworthy information about U.S. immigration, including options to visit, work, or live in the United States. So let's get to it by first going over the basic EB-5 visa requirements and the two main pathways to apply for an EB-5 visa. The EB-5 investor visa is available to applicants who invest the required investment amount of either $800,000 or $1,050,000 into a for-profit business, which the government calls a new commercial enterprise or an NCE. Whether the higher or lower amount is required depends on whether the business is located in a rural area or an area with high unemployment, in which case the lower amount would be required. Regardless of which amount is required, the investment must lead to the creation of at least 10 jobs for U.S. workers. As I mentioned before, the EB-5 investor has two options to pursue an EB-5 green card: the direct investment program and the regional center program. The direct investment program usually entails the EB-5 applicant investing in a business that they've started or purchasing a business and investing in it. The required 10 jobs must be directly created at the business, meaning the business must directly employ the workers who fill those 10 newly created positions. The direct investment scenario is pretty easy to imagine. If we go back to the example of a restaurant that I mentioned before, an EB-5 investor could start a restaurant and invest the required amount of capital into it in order to create 10 U.S. jobs. Or the EB-5 investor could purchase a restaurant, invest the required amount of funds into it, and create 10 U.S. jobs that way. The restaurant will directly employ the workers who fill the 10 newly created positions as servers, cooks, cleaners, etc. The EB-5 investor will usually have an active role leading and managing the business. In contrast, the regional center program allows the EB-5 investor to pool their funds with other EB-5 investors. In the regional center context, the new commercial enterprise is usually a large project, such as a large resort that could cost tens of millions of dollars and attract dozens of EB-5 investors. The EB-5 investor will usually not have an active role in the project, and the project must create enough jobs so that on average 10 jobs are created for each EB-5 investor who invests in the project. One of the benefits of the Regional Center program is that the government will consider both direct and indirect jobs that result from the investment. Direct jobs are those where there's an employer-employee relationship between the new commercial enterprise and the employee, like a restaurant employing a server, for example, or in the case of our resort, the resort employing a manager. An indirect job is a job that was created as a result of the new commercial enterprise, but that is not directly employed by it. For example, if our resort contracts with an outside cleaning company that itself hires a cleaning staff to work at the resort, these jobs may be counted toward the job creation requirement in the regional center context, but not in the direct investment context. Also, in contrast to the direct investment program, the regional center program allows the EB-5 investor to have a much more passive role, which is attractive to many EB-5 applicants. So, with that background, can a single new commercial enterprise in the direct investment program support more than one EB-5 investor? Before March 15th, 2022, the answer to this question was yes. For example, 2 EB-5 investors could start a single restaurant and each invests a required amount into the restaurant. If the restaurant then created at least 20 jobs for U.S. workers, 10 jobs per EB-5 applicant, the 2 EB-5 investors would be eligible to receive an EB-5 green card, assuming they satisfied all other requirements. On March 15, 2022, though, President Biden signed the EB-5 Reform and Integrity Act into law. That new law requires that any EB-5 enterprise that has more than one EB-5 investor applicant must apply under the Regional Center program. The effect of this is that a business under the Direct Investment program can only support one EB-5 investor. Now, a direct investment business can have other investors in addition to the EB-5 investor, so long as the other investors are not also applying for an EB-5 visa. But if more than one EB-5 investor is applying based on a single new commercial enterprise, those EB-5 applicants must apply through the Regional Center program. The EB-5 Reform and Integrity Act also introduced new and strict requirements on regional centers, so the additional burden of registering a regional center and maintaining that registration can be significant. Unfortunately, many investors who would have been able to apply under the Direct Investment program before March 2022 will now need to navigate these requirements if they want to apply with one or more fellow EB-5 investors. We hope this video about the EB-5 Immigrant Investor Visa was helpful. If it was, please click the like and subscribe buttons to stay updated on future videos about visa options and travel to the US. Thank you for watching.